Next month, Ontario's cannabis distributor will drop its price markups. This move comes in a year of financial troubles and job losses for the industry. And with it, Ontario Cannabis Store hopes to put $35 million back into the hands of licensed pot companies this fiscal year. For a closer look, we're joined this morning by George Smitherman, President and CEO of the Cannabis Council of Canada. Good morning. Great to have you here.
Good to be with you.
So the cannabis sector has been hit hard this year, especially for producers. Some of the biggest industry names, including Aleafia, filed for bankruptcy. Canopy Growth, we know, racked up $2.6 billion in losses. They had to close their headquarters in Smith Falls. How are the changes coming from OCS going to help prop up the industry?
Well, it definitely has been a challenging time. We should say that across the country, there are hundreds of producers, small, medium, and large, and some are eking out a better existence than others, but overall, there are a lot of headwinds to profitability. The move by the Ontario Cannabis Store, who serves like the wholesaler or the middleman, to back off a little is really just to put a bit more of the overall dollar in the hands of the licensed producers. This will allow them to be more likely profitable or sustainable, and also to be able to produce the innovative products that consumers need. So it's a very, very good step in the right direction. One of more that we need to see from that broad middleman, which is all the governments with their fees and taxes and regulations, but definitely a good first step, let's say, by the Ford government.
Looking all the way back to, July 1st, pre-pandemic, legalization was supposed to choke off the illegal market. That was one of the positives that was presented, but that hasn't happened. So will these changes coming from OCS help some of that?
Well, it has happened to a certain extent, but maybe not as much as we'd all hoped for. The good news in that, in a certain sense, for both the industry and for governments, is that there's more pie out there to get, and that collectively, with the right steps, we can grow that pie and attract more of those illicit market consumers. This is a step in that direction in the sense that it continues to allow the retailers in Ontario, of which there are many, to be able to offer a good competitive products and prices so that we can lure more of those sticky illicit market consumers over from their traditional suppliers.
Yeah.
We do have some format limitations also, like in our edibles. We have a limit on 10 milligrams per package, which is a pretty low dose, let's say.
Yeah.
So that category is really a challenging one to lure illicit market consumers over. That needs a regulatory prescription, which the OCS has also spoken out in favor of.
So what are some of the biggest struggles that the industry is facing right now, and why? You mentioned this one with the edibles, but what else are we looking at?
Well, there's a lot of regulation and cost in the middle of it. It's not particularly surprising that governments were looking to be able to get their piece of the action, but a study that we produced last year with EY really did indicate the extent to which that government middle has kind of elbowed out the licensed producers and, to a certain extent, the retailers as well. So having the governments in the middle understand that they are important to how much of the overall market we can get is really critical. That's why I say this is a good step in the right direction. Product formats are an issue, as I mentioned, and we have some really, really severe limitations to be able to communicate with our consumers, even within our retail stores. We're really restricted in what information we can convey about our products. So those are other areas where we ask our governments for a little bit more regulatory flexibility, all within age-gated environments, so we're not out there like alcohol is promoted to in the presence of youth and such, but in age-gated environments. So these are some of the other areas where we look to government to help us so that we can collectively grow the pie, which is to achieve the objectives of legalization in the first place.
Right, and we are just new and early in this process, right? And so this is all part of the growing pains.
We're coming up on 5 years, but there is more growth to get there. If we think that maybe 75 or 80% would be a pretty mature amount of the overall market to acquire, we're certainly some percent off that yet. That's an opportunity for government and for the sector to work together to grow the pie.
Good to hear this side of the story. George, thanks for coming in today.
It's always my pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.